Morning there, Mr. Cardboard. Little cardboard splendor. Be a friend there, Mr. Splendor. Nice to see you. How you doing? Glad to have you in the chat here this morning. Hope you're having a good day. We're just getting the stream loaded up and ready to play. I'm going to be doing breakfast puns this morning, so hold on to your bagels and eggs. It's going to be a good one. Bagel unlocks the world. I'm on a roll here with breakfast puns this morning. Don't not worry, be happy. I have muffin to do this morning. Except do this stream with you folks. It's nice to see you here this morning, Splendor. I'm gonna let you finish your breakfast, and then you can join us here on the stream. You know what I mean, folks. Let's get the chat running here. It's gonna be a good one. Serialously, breakfast puns are the best. Let's toast to a great day ahead. It should be a good one. All right, I'm gonna take my coffee with a side of laughter. It's beautiful to see you here this morning. On the show, we got MTG Gaming Bob in the house, Cardboard Splendor. Nice to see you here, folks. Amazing fans of Magic the Gathering. Those of you who love the game as much as we do, I want to thank you once again for tuning in. It is a Thursday edition of Morning Magic the Gathering Stocks, Talks, Clocks, Walks, everything but a case of the chicken pox. We're here with all those fine folks who like to crack open packs and shuffle up stacks of Magic the Gathering cards. It's not that hard. You can join me in the morning each and every weekday where we discuss the finance and we help you along your finance journey. Do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Let me do it for you. Sometimes there's too much information out there, and sometimes there's just not enough information. Let me help you along your Magic the Gathering finance journey here, where we discuss the prices of Magic cards, news, articles, and breaking events that happen. And we always love to hear from you folks. So if you want to leave me a comment and join in the discussion, all are welcome here. Near and dear to our hearts, let's get ready to start this morning stream. If you know what I mean, I like to warm up just a little bit each and every day, get the hilarity happening here this morning. First and foremost, let's get started with some AI-generated Magic cards. We'll take a look at some of these cards and give them a pass or a fail. You know the rules. If you've been here once before, you know how it works. But for all of those new viewers tuning in from around the world, wherever you may be, let's go over it for a quick second. Here's how it works. Second breakfast. All right, if the card is playable any way whatsoever, we're going to pass it. You'll hear this sound. The sound? The sweet, sweet dinger, if you know what I mean. And if there's any gibberish on the card any way whatsoever, we'll fail it. And you'll hear this sound. The sound of the buzzing. Causing excessive buzzing here this morning. Let's make sure that everything's working out just fine. Brody's live and direct with you folks here this morning. Nice to see you here. We are queuing up the Robo Rosewater stream. Rise and grind. It's breakfast time. Time to grind that coffee and get some breakfast in your body. I'm excited for breakfast. Serialously, I'm ready to go here with you folks. We'll have a sunny side up kind of morning this morning. Did you hear the one about the egg that went to school? It finally cracked under the pressure. And why did the cereal go to the doctor? Because he was feeling a little bit flaky. All right, are you a croissant? Because you've got a lot of roll in my morning routine. Each and every one of you folks making part of Brody's morning routine. Let's take a look at this Magic card here, the Legion's Pism. Oh, Legion's Pism is a green and sorcery. All right, sorcery speed green card. This one says as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. So far, so good. So far, so good. This checks out One green and four, though. So what are we doing for one green and four in a sack? It better be good. Target player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws all cards. All cards? Every card? Holy smokes, that could be busted. 5 mana, you draw your entire deck. Oh, what the heck? Draw your deck? This card is busted. I gotta say, this thing is on its way to being at least overpowerful. I can't say it enough. Let's pass it. It's functional. It's just a little too powerful. It is. All right, what is this one? Player rating fair OP underpowered. I'm going to give it the OP. You know, you down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. Why did the coffee file a police report? Because it got mugged, of course. Let's take a look at another one here. We've got Phage Artisan phaging into the background here this morning. What have we got here? Phage the Artisan. Creature Astartes Warrior. 4/3 Doctor's Companion. Super OP, right, Bob? It is. We're lagging here this morning. The best part of waking up is Brody in your cup. What's the Doctor's Companion? Well, that's a 4/3 black creature. Cost you 1 black and 4 for this Doctor's Companion. And when the Phage Artisan enters the battlefield, flip a coin for each counter on target creature you control. When Phage Artisan attacks, look at the top X cards of your library where X is the number of creatures you control. Put those cards onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Holy smokes. There's a lot of power here this morning. This has also got to be overpowered. What do you think? Let's give it a pass, even though it's overpowered. All right. What did the coffee say? what did the what did the coffees say when it grew up? Someday I'll be a latte taller. All right, Phage Artisan. This thing's OP as well. We'll have to rank that easy enough. It's all Bob's fault. I'll be back in a few. I got a premiere to attend to. It's Bob's fault. Well, you make sure you buy that no fault insurance, of course. You got a premiere going on. Sorry to miss it. Missed you, kissed you. Never want to miss you here. We got this AI generated. We're evaluating some AI generated magic cards with you folks here this morning, and this one's a battle. It's a real battle each and every day when we get up and we check these cards out. Sometimes it makes my brain hurt. We got two overpowered ones at the moment, and then we got this one here, a battle. Hmm. Steel Claw Worthy. Legendary Battle Siege. At the beginning of your end step, create a 2/2 red gremlin wall creature. Never heard of it. Could be a gremlin, could be a wall, but this battle gets you that. And then if you defeat it, you get this land. Tridon Agent. You get tapped as a red or a white. And then you can pay a black and get double red, or Boros, red, white. This seems okay. Could you imagine they started putting lands on the opposite side of battles? Not a bad idea. I think this is just fine. Myself included. Anybody else think this is actually functional? I think it's functional. It works. A battle that fixes your mana costs you 3. Doesn't seem like it's off curve at all. For a black, you get 2 red or Boros. It can fix your mana up quite good. Tap for a red or a white. I think it's fine. Let's give this a fairly and squarely here this morning. Fairly down the stream, gently we will go. Okay, and then this is where we left off yesterday. Le rebuke artisan. Rebuking all forms of negativity here in the stream here this morning. It's nice to see you here, folks. We got one more. We left on this one yesterday. This one is a Rebuke Artisan Creature Dinosaur Cat. It costs you 2 white and 1 for a 1/2, and you tap and put a poison counter on target artifact. It seems not that good. Why would you put a poison counter on an artifact? We don't know. I don't know, and I don't care. This one, poison counters on artifacts don't really get us where we need to be, do they? Do they? Alrighty, fine. Another fine morning. It's Thursday, and those of you folks for joining us, I would like to thank you all for tuning in. Two fonts walk into a bar. Bartender says, "I'm sorry, we don't serve your type here." I got a cup of coffee. I want to thank you all for joining me. Greetings to all you beautiful and amazing people for joining me from around the world here on the morning show where we help you go on your finance journey. And I've got another news article here from the stock desk, a beautiful article. Thank you, Matt Grozechnik, for bringing us this one. We're discussing a little bit about Magic today, and we're going to talk about the top picks for the Karlov Manor Commander. Top picks for Commander and Karlov Manor. We're also starting to get some spoilers out there for the new Fallout set. And maybe we'll start with this one. This thing seems... What do you folks want to see? All right, let's start with this one. There's a new win condition out in Magic the Gathering, courtesy of the new Fallout set. Have you seen it? OMG. The bobbleheads, it couldn't be more real. We got the Brody Funko Pop bobbling his head here in the stream to get you folks live and up here this morning. Get some breakfast in you. Kick the dog. Get moving wherever you are and get grooving with me. Let's take a look at this new win condition that we can see coming out of the new Fallout set. Is this something that is going to be actually functionally playable? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Let's look into it. All right. Mexican magician tells the audience he's going to disappear on the count of 3. He says uno, dos, and poof, he disappeared without a trace. All right, look at this one. Astonishing new MTG Fallout serialized cycle creates an alternate win condition, and you can turn all creatures into artifacts. Creatures can be artifacts, but the poison counter, what does it do to a creature? I think a poison counter only kills players. Murray Cooper, draw all cards? Doesn't that mean your opponents do too? I mean, it just causes confusion. You draw everything, draw all cards. Maybe you get to draw your opponent's deck. Oh. All right, like it or not, the collector boosters have been a big part of Magic over the last few years. If you want serialized game pieces of Magic history, engaging with these incredibly expensive packs are an incredibly exciting option. In fact, if you're unwilling to acquire your serialized cards of choice through the secondary market, the only option left is to deep dive into the world of collector boosty. The Fallout series spoiler season started yesterday. We're talking about it a little bit here today, and it may be over as quickly as it started, for 4 commander decks are being revealed over the course of 4 days. With Friday being the last day that the new Magic Fallout cards are hitting the scene, of course, Magic Fallout collector boosters are also being released alongside with 4 new commander decks and selling out quite quickly. Can't seem to find any. This is quite similar to the Doctor Who collector booster offerings, providing fancier versions of the cards found in the main decks. The Fallout collector boosters offer some thematic Magic the Gathering reprints that don't appear in core commander decks, including one that's worth more than $200 currently. You can read about that here. What card is that that's worth 200 bones? $280 Portal 3 Kingdoms Powerhouse gets a much needed reprint. That's the Ravages of War. Here's a card that is getting a reprint. It's pretty much Armageddon, right? It's a rare Portal single printing card that's been spoiled, and its mana cost is exactly the same as Armageddon, but it's just a different version of it. So a board wipe for lands we're getting. A reprint, Ravages of War. This is a 4-cost card. It hasn't been reprinted since the Portal set, so that's news in the spoiler world. But both the Doctor Who and Fallout collector boosters offer extremely rare serialized versions of some of the cards. All right, who offered serialized versions of the 13 Doctors and followed offers out serialized versions of the collectible items from the original game bobbleheads? Now, as an incredibly iconic collectible from the crossover IP, of course, the bobbleheads are going to make an appearance in Magic the Gathering, and that will have many players not expecting this to go this way. However, in these if, is that these bobbleheads would create an alternate win condition, making them much more desirable to Magic players that initially anticipated? Well, we're going to take a look. What do you think about the bobblehead card? So we got the Perception bobblehead. These are artifacts. This one taps for a mana of any color. It costs you 3. And then you get to pay 3 and tap it. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. You may cast a spell with mana value 3 or less from among them without paying its mana cost, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So bobbleheads matter. But then we get to something else a little more interesting. If you like rolling dice, this card might be nice. But I think it's a little bit difficult to actually execute, but we'll get there. Here we go. In total, there's 7 Fallout bobblehead cards coming out of Magic the Gathering. Am I impressed with this? Not really. I think they're cute, they're funny, but like, yeah, I don't know. Daffy Duck on a Magic card, perhaps. This is almost as playful as that, but these are part of a sort of cycle. These are a lot of elements. There's a lot of elements that 7 bobblehead cards have in common, and all these cards are essentially mana rocks with a mana value of 3 that have a secondary ability. These abilities all scale in usefulness with the number of bobbleheads you have under your control. And Perception bobblehead, revealed yesterday during the launch of the MTG Fallout spoiler season, for example, as a second ability that lets you cast a spell with mana value 3 or less from the deck. How far you get to dig for a spell? Well, it depends on how many bobbleheads you have. We mentioned here that there's a bobblehead that's been confirmed as act as an alternate win condition, but Perception bobblehead obviously is not that one. Without further ado, let's take a look at the Luck bobblehead. Okay, so this one here, let me ask you something. Fool, let me ask you. Do you feel lucky? Do you? Hey, fool, do you feel lucky? Well, this is the Luck bobblehead. I can't believe these are Magic cards. I really can't. All right, this one's 3 mana, and this is the one we're talking about. Alternate win conditions. There's a new way to win the game, and this is how you do it. It says, pay 3 for this artifact, and then tap it and add a mana of any color. So it's a rock. And then you get to pay 1, tap it, and roll an X 6-sided dice, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. Okay, so you have a rolling mechanic, and then create a tapped treasure token for each even result. So you get treasures for every even roll. And then if you rolled 6 exactly 7 times, you win the game. So you have to have 7 bobbleheads and you have to roll 7 sixes to win the game. It's all 6s and 7s, Brody. How many people are going to be doing this? It's hard to say. Even with Clark's thumb, I guess you get to ignore some of the results, but this thing is a little bit weird. Dalton, nice to see you here, buddy. Got to play a couple of games of Magic the Gathering with Dalton last night. It was a little bit fun. I didn't win last night. I lost miserably, but hey, what happens? Things happen. I had a good time. A bad day at Magic's better than a good day at work, I'll tell you that. Dalton, what do you think of these bobbleheads from the new Fallout series? This is like a new win condition. Is this going to get you there? Is it even worth trying to build this and like roll a 6, 7 times? It seems like it's a far-fetched luck driven win condition. Okay, I'm back. You'll accompany me on the ride to work. I appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you got Brody dragging along for the ride, I want to thank you for taking me with you. Brain, my ambassador of Quan. Do you like the bobbleheads? All right. Hands off, hands on the wheel, hands at 10 and 2. Keep focused on the road. Let Brody just stream along with you nice and casual. You can hear me in the background wherever you're going. So this is the Luck bobblehead, part of the spoilers of the new Fallout series. I don't know if I'm excited to build with this. I don't know how I'm going to roll 6 7s. I can barely roll 2 6s on 2d6 to win the first play in a game. So is there another way to break this? Is Clark's thumb and Sakashima It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work to get this done. I think it is. It's got to be, what do they call that? Spithouse luck? All right, luck bobblehead is the other general applications of the bobblehead cycle. The activated ability on this bobblehead is a doozy. The bobblehead really does check up on how lucky you are. Rolling dice equal to the number of bobbleheads you control, and even numbers offer you a tap treasure token, which can be a great way to store up mana if you have multiple bobbleheads in play. But the real prize, however, is the incredibly difficult one to hit. If you manage to roll exactly 7 sixes, you'll win the game on the spot. And this obviously hints that you need to assemble all 7 bobbleheads in play in order to even get an attempt at this alternate win condition. Even then, getting this win is very difficult. Interestingly, nowhere in any of these bobblehead cards do any of them suggest that you need bobblehead cards with different names to scale their abilities. So we're copying bobbleheads, perhaps mechanized production, another way to do it. This enchantment aura, over encumbered, more like 7 and 5. Be easier just to play big guys and attack, right? It's interesting they did Fallout out of 500 with an inventory issue. 10 and 2 is no good anymore. Airbag will blast your arms in the face. Oh no. So go like 6 and 4. No, go 4 and 8. 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Well, it's 6 o'clock right here, right now, 6:40, where you guys can feel sporty when you're joining me on the morning stream. Mechanized production. Here's an enchantment aura that'll let you enchant an artifact you control. In the beginning of your upkeep, you get to create a token that's a copy of the enchanted artifact. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as another, you win the game. Because Magic the Gathering Fallout bobblehead cards do not require bobbleheads with different names to scale their abilities, the best way to win with luck bobblehead may actually be able to create as many copies of it as possible. This is not only allowing you to satisfy the 7 bobblehead condition of even attempting to win with the luck bobblehead, but it also allows you to attempt to win multiple times per turn. As a consolidation or consolation prize, you'll be creating a ton of treasure tokens as you attempt to roll for the win. Rolling dice can be a long, drawn-out process in Magic the Gathering. If anybody's played against the Krark and Sakashima deck, there's a lot of dice rolling going on. It's a lot to keep track of. So, and Wizards of the Coast attempt to keep the game moving forward and less shuffling going on in the game of Magic the Gathering, streamlining plays, less searching the library, rolling more and more dice. It could be just another way of slowing the game down. Perhaps. Hey, hot dice, what's up? You rolling some hot dice today? Maybe you can actually win off this bobblehead, right? This is the one that's got the alternate win condition. Hot dice. What are the odds of rolling 7 sixes with this card to exactly win the game? You got to have some pretty hot dice to be able to do it, don't you? 6:40, and I'm off to work. Nice to see you, Murray. So hot dice in the house. Murray's off to work. This thing's fire. If you got the hot dice, maybe you can make this work. Exactly 6 sevens. It's all 6s and 7s, Brody. If you can roll them, you can win. You got to know when to roll them, know when to fold them. Copying those bobbleheads. Okay. Mechanized production. Another way to do it. Okay. That's some fun fuego. Nice to see you. Anger Collections in the house. Good to see you here. We got Dalton, Stark. A little bit of a follow-up to those of you watching. We talked about it the other day, and Dalton brought it up yesterday when I was gaming with him. There's this cross breed between a shark and a stingray. I think Dual Brain mentioned it. That was the first I heard of it. He said there's a pregnant shark that got crossbred with a stingray, and I suppose the possible name for the new species should it arrive on planet Earth. They got a shark ray or a sting shark, but I guess the actual name that's being considered for that is the Stark. Stingray Shark Stark. So named after my friend Dalton, of course. The Stark, Dalton, Stingray Shark. Nice to see you here this morning. All right. Let's keep going. For Magic players who want to try and create as many copies of the Luck Bobblehead as possible, if copy effects have been particularly popular amongst EDH players, meaning that a lot of options are out there and available for you to pursue your goal of copying those creatures and enchantments. An example of more copy spells, well, we got the Artificer class. This is the classless card from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, and it's uniquely themed for a strong artifact-centric deck. The class can help you get your artifacts out and search. So the first level on this class When it becomes level 2, you get to okay. The first artifact spell you cast this turn costs 1 less. Then this class becomes level 2. You reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact. Put that card into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So you get to get stuff. It gets you free digs into your deck. You get to rip that dip real good off the top and put an artifact into your hand. Then you pay 6 manas for the third level at the beginning of your end step. Create a tokenless copy of target artifact you control. Not too bad, not too bad. But I think there are other ways to do it. Why not just straight up copy it? Copy artifact. Or perhaps a Glasspool Mimic. Maybe we could play Phantasm to copy it, or perhaps even a Phyrexian Metamorph. There's Court Vantress from Wild Zilbel Drain. If you want to try and get there and copy these bobbleheads, I don't see anybody playing it. I don't see anybody like taking this to Pound Town and making a competitive build around deck. Despite all the copy cards that are available, including the Court of Vantress, we're bugging out here this morning. Too many places to go. And if you're employing a cheap commander that you're expecting to cast multiple times through the game, Echo Storm is an option that can create a flurry of luck. Okay. Luck bobbleheads all at once. Whenever you cast a spell, copy it for each time you cast your commander from the command zone in this game. You may choose new targets, create a token that's a copy of target artifact. You really got to try to copy the luck bobblehead enough times, and then you still got to roll the dice. So Ovar, the all form, can be a particularly fun commander to employ for trying to win with luck bobblehead. Let's see here. The Changeling, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard a card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent. And then Shane Cook Official, Redditor, you want 41.5. Okay, so here's the odds, right? If you're trying to win with luck bobbleheads, according to the Redditor Shane Cook Official, you're going to want 41 bobbleheads to have the best odds at winning the game with luck bobbleheads. So you need 41 of these to even get a good shot at it, right? Holy smokes, to roll 7 6s? So you'll certainly need to create a ton of copies of this card if you really want to try it and win. You really got to go deep with the luck bobblehead. Holy smokes. You got to go 41 copies. So imagine somebody rolling 7d6s 41 times. Or actually, I guess if you had 41 copies, you'd roll 41 dice. And if you roll 7d6s, then you win the game. I think that's how that works. Okay, seems like a lot of work. We got Doppelgang coming in here as one of the recommendations. Doppelgang, for each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent. So you could pay X 3 times. It's an expensive way to get there. You know, there's other ways to win at Magic that are simply have way better odds and are a lot easier to assemble. So whether it's Doppelgang, Extravergent Replication, Mirrorworks, Prototype Pearl, Replication Technique, and Sahili's Artistry, they're all ways of creating luck bobblehead tokens, but of course you'll have token copies of the card available. You can use other cards to create it. Are luck bobbleheads only serialized? Okay, so let's just take a break and talk about these copy spells. Anybody think that we're going to see a movement in copy spells simply because of the luck bobblehead? Does it have enough steam to push the marketing around spells that copy artifacts? I don't know. I would say probably not, because it's such a far-fetched win condition. I can't see it moving the prices of any of these copy spells all on its own. But if we want to understand a little bit more about the financial side of the luck bobblehead, are luck bobbleheads only serialized? To our understanding, this is not the case, and all the bobblehead cards should be available in the Follow Commander Precon decks. As for which commander deck luck bobblehead can be found in, we currently do not know. And all we do know is that the time of writing is that not only available in the Scrappy Survivors Commander deck, either way, the inclusion of the luck bobblehead's alternate win condition from Wizards of the Coast is certainly a smart one. It's smart? These serialized trinkets may suddenly become a bit more desirable as players begin to bring buckets of dice to their local game stores in a delusional attempt to try and win the game with luck bobblehead. Morning, Benson. Nice to see you here, buddy. All right. New spoilers are insane. I think I remember seeing this card. A few people said, why is this card not white? But it checks out. This is a green card. Some aura tribal spells. Nice. Nice to see you. Well, no matter where you are, it's not that hard. You can tune into the morning show. It's nice to be here with you folks here, wherever you're heading out, wherever you got Brody with you, whether you got me on the dash of the car, perhaps if you got me in your back pocket on the front of the snow shovel, maybe you're plowing the driveway. Wherever you are, I want to thank you folks for tuning in and joining me here this morning. It's Thursday. I like Thursday because we get to talk about legacy, a little bit about legacy here Thursday morning. It's quite interesting. And allow me to help you along your Magic the Gathering journey, Magic the Gathering finance journey. It's quite interesting to see what's going on with the new spoilers. And then there's already the Outlaws of Thunder Junction set just around the corner. I was never a big, I only heard about Fallout. Maybe Brody's been living in a tunnel somewhere. I mean, I only heard about it when this set was released, but apparently it's quite popular and it's something that's been around for decades. Let's have a little sip of coffee here and enjoy the stream and enjoy each other's company, their present company included. So let's go. Let's just take a look over at our interest. I got a couple of more cards to add to our interest here this morning by request of Mr. Benson. So Benson's joining us here this morning. Quite nice to see you. Follow Set is bringing back the Fortify mechanic. If you haven't seen this already, Fortify is something that was originally printed back in the day of Magic the Gathering. So I can take a look at some of these. I think this is the Fortify mechanic. Yes, we're talking. I never played with Fortify. So let's take a look at this one here. Do you remember these? Do these look familiar? Darksteel Garrison. Fortified lands are indestructible, and whenever fortified land becomes tapped, target creature gains +1/+1. It was a one-off mechanic in Future Sight. Hanging with Brody while I'm having breakfast. Solid, very solidest. Nice to see you here this morning where you're hanging off to work, perhaps getting a little snack. We're doing some breakfast puns here this morning. And for those of you who are new to the channel, we've picked ourselves up a sponsorship from MTG Stocks, which is quite nice. Very, very nice. So if you're getting some breakfast, what do you call French toast that has seen better days? A little flat tart. And why was orange juice never invited to the party? Because it has a pulpy personality. And don't try and butter me up this morning because, sir, keep your crepe indulgences to yourself. It's my day off. I just ate and I'm going to go get some coffee like you got it, man. All right, what did the muffin start studying? It wanted to rise to the top of its class. All right, and why would you ever promote a croissant? Because only if it has a role to fill. So let's go to our interest list. We've added a couple of cards to our interest, and if you folks stick with me on the Magic the Gathering journey, since we've got our very generous sponsorship from MTG Stocks Desk, Mr. Arjun himself has given us a premium membership to explore and help us down our Magic the Gathering journey. There's also an affiliate link, a Brody Alfonso affiliate link for you folks if you want to join in the fun and get yourself a subscription. It'll cost you 10% off. It'll give you 10% off. But I would suggest just hanging with me for the first little while, and let's explore together what we can do with this premium membership. Before you go and buy anything, let me test drive it for you. Here, loving the breakfast puns. Well, thank you. When I looked up yesterday, Future Sight print of Darksteel Garrison sold out on Card Kingdom. Good morning, my cousin Jimmy here in the house. Ow, hula woolly wolf. So we've added a couple of cards to our watch list. Now, this is the inventory. So a couple of the premium functions. We've got We've got watch lists. You can watch unlimited cards. So now we're adding a couple of cards thanks to Benson. If there's any interest that you folks have, if you like tracking the prices of Magic cards, let me know what they are. Give me a message. Don't don't give me too many, but if there's something that we can add to our watch list here, if you guys want to track it, I can add it to our watch list here for you folks. Yesterday I included another card from my friend Benson, Urabrask, this card here. So if you're speculating on any cards, for me, myself, I want to watch this Dust to Dust. It seems quite good. And especially yesterday, being it was Wednesday, it was Popper yesterday. This card, Dust to Dust, keeps on turning up on the Popper list. And if you read the card, there's only a couple of printings of it. There's the 5th edition one, which is the more expensive one. And then there's also the version from the Dark. It's a common. But why does this card keep popping up on the Popper list? Well, thanks to my friend Dusty. Dustin Cullihall mentioned, he said, well, in Pauper, the artifact lands are the most popular. So this basically says remove 2 lands from the game. So it's not the artifacts we're going after in Pauper, it's the lands. So in that particular form, and I missed that interaction for a couple of weeks until somebody brought it up, so I want to share it with you. Dust to Dust, remove 2 target artifacts from the game, so exiles 2 artifacts. And the reason this keeps showing up on the Pauper list is because it hits the artifact lands. Good to know. So we've added it to our watch list. I want to see how far this goes. Without a reprint, card is probably going to keep climbing, especially in the Pauper format. The Dust to Dust card is quite good, so we've added it to our list. And another card, I want to keep an eye on Dust to Dust because I think without a reprint, it could keep going higher. You know what card I like? Kabira Takedown. Okay, let's add it. Hot. That card's hot? Let's check it out. We'll add it to the list. I think it's been slept on. Well, if it was slept on, it'd have some creases in it. But nevertheless, you put it under your pillow? Do you put it under the mattress? Where does it go? Urabrask, we're going to add that to the list here. Just give me a second. This is the card that Benson's picked, okay? Give me a pick here, Hot Dice. We'll add it to the list. We're going to put Kabira Takedown on there. Let's go. All right, Urabrask is from the Pabo set. The Phyrexian All will be 1. First strike, when you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Urabrask deals 1 damage to target opponent. Add red. And then exile Urabrask, then return to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate as a sorcery only if you have 3 or more instants or sorceries cast this turn. Dang, Tooth Fairy got it. All right, Kabira Takedown. Let's check it. Let's add this card to the watch list for Hot Dice. Now with our premium membership for MTG stocks, we can start to explore some of these functions and we can create a watch list of our own. So Zendikar Rising, is that the one? Let's take a look. Let's add that to the list. So right now, we've got Brody's favorite pick on here. We've got Spelunking, a card I'm very bullish on. I've picked up a few copies of that card, if you might know. We got Urabrask, Echoing Deep, Mass Vandal, Dust to Dust, and now let's refresh the list here and see what happens. I'm still learning how to use this premium watched cards. With the premium membership, we can add as many cards as we want. Kabira Takedown, Zendikar Rising, an uncommon card. I like it. You know, we should check the foil price on this one. You know, my pick, Transmute Artifact. That's yours? I thought you said the other day you're bearish on Transmute. You think it's going to go higher? All right, let's add it. I like the reserve list picks. Kabira Takedown. This is an uncommon. Do we want the foil version, Hot Dice? Kabira Takedown deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. And it's also a land. What's the foil price? 55 cents. Seems really cheap, worth picking up. Let's add the Transmute Artifact. That's for you, Millmaster. Look at that high. I know, right? $9,999. Transmute. Transmute Artifact from Antiquities. This is a funny card because there was a time when I was sitting on the fence. I could have either bought the Transmute or the Power Artifact, and I picked up 3 copies of the Power Artifact, not a single copy of the Transmute. This is exactly why I want to track it. If it's a handle going up on to a plateau, then maybe I'll reconsider. All right. I think we should probably compare those two, the Transmute Artifact and the Power Artifact, and see what kind of price divergence. Now, keep in mind, I think this is an uncommon, right? So these are some uncommons from the Antiquities set. We've got Transmute Artifact, and then I think we've got Power Artifact, 2 artifact spells that are hitting the uncommon spot. So it's kind of a, I think Rudy's even talked about these uncommons it depends if it's a U2 or U3, right? Because there was some sort of misnomering going on with the uncommons in some of these older sets. It's like the Candelabra of Tanos. It might as well be a rare, but it was listed as an uncommon. So as we journey down the stream together, we can start to explore some of the functions of the premium membership. So explore them here with me if you want to test this out with me and build a watch list together. Any cards that you want to put on there, these are your picks. We can do that for free if you just join me. We've got another interesting couple, and I'm going to feature this each and every day because there's some very interesting functions that I want to share with you folks. And if you're playing back the stream and you want to catch some of this inventory interest or some of these paid for subscription only functions that you can get from MTG stocks, you can check it out here. I've been encouraged to share the functionality with you folks so you can get a little bit of an idea. So if you choose to pick it up for yourself, then you've got an idea how it works. Penny stocks are cards that we've identified below $5 that seem to have continuous upward trends for at least a month. These cards are still fairly cheap and may be interesting cards to pick up to hold for a longer term. Cards that have recently spiked up in price are not included in this list since the list would give skewed trends. So the print run on Antiquities was so small that the amount of cards destroyed is so massive that I don't think U2 or U3 matters. I bet less than 10% of these cards still exist. Very interesting comment. Thank you, cousin Jimmy. So Jimmy's telling us, regardless of U2 or U3 rating on some of these cards, the Surveil lands. Oh, wait, okay. Well, you want me to add all of them, or just a couple of them? It's good. That's something I might just have to add to the list here. Later in the day when I get off the stream, I'll build that up. So you want the Surveil lands? I will add those for you, Mr. Daltanian. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. We're running just a little bit later here today, Twiddler. So you're right on time. The show doesn't start until Twiddler gets here. Thank you, Ed. What's his punishment? Your punishment?
Buy low, sell high, that's my motto. I may just quit my job at the power plant and become a full-time stock market guy.
I'll have to think about that. Defenestration. Yes, we're going to throw you out a window. Excellent word here. Red or blue one for sure. All right, I'm not too familiar with all the names of the Surveil lands just yet, but I promise you, Dalton, I will add each and every one of them. We're going to keep an eye on it. So, like, I was trying to push the possibility of trying to play around those Surveil lands in some more competitive formats like CEDH, and some of the folks said that they were, it's just too difficult to get there. But I was talking to Dalton the other day, and he says there's actually some pretty good tech available with the Gitrog monster. I think it's the Gitrog. I think he was telling me there's pretty good interactions with the Gitrog. There's other ways to reanimate cards out of the graveyard that work well with the Surveil lands. Even if you use a tutor to put something on top of your graveyard, or you just naturally have something that goes to the bin, like an Archon, another card. I'm going to add a card to our list here. Let's look at this card here. Let's add something to the watch list. I want to put on Persist. I think Persist. Now, what version? Persist. So there's Modern Horizons 2, and then there's a pre-release. Let's put this Persist on the list. because it rhymes. Persisting to the live. Git frog, Brody. Please. Please. The Git frog. Hey, that sounds even better. I'm glad. If I'm missing any mispronunciations, make sure I get them wrong here. Persist. Modern Horizons 2. Here's a card that it could work quite well with the new Surveil lands. Dalton's pick, the Surveil lands, something we want to keep an eye on. Return target non-legendary creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. 2 mana persist. So if you're using this with the Surveil lands, this can get a creature right back from the bin into play, perhaps an Archon of Cruelty or something even better. Dreams of Steel and Oil. I cannot understand why this card hasn't gone to the moon. Jimmy wants Dreams of Steel and Oil. Dreams of Steel and Oil. Dream Stealer, I don't know if I can get you through the night. All right, let's add that for Cousin Jimmy. And this is where we're going to put our heads together. We're going to take full advantage of this premium membership that we've been gifted so generously by the leader of the stock desk, and we're going to use it and abuse it to its full functionality. I want you folks, I want to explore and learn how this works. Some of these paid features. I know that building the watch list is only a 50 card list that you can build when you're using the free function, but now we can go deep and build our deepest desires of lists. Let me help you on your Magic the Gathering journey. Dreams of Steel and Oil. I remember the art on this, Jimmy. It was very iconic, and it was like, whoa, that's some crazy art. 1 black mana, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an artifact or creature from it, then choose an artifact or creature card from their graveyard. Exile the chosen cards. So you get 2. You get artifact and creature from their hand, and then you get 1 from the yard. This is actually quite darn good. I'm glad you brought this up because I want to put this in my Rakdos deck. I had a bit of a trouble yesterday playing against just a degenerate Grixis player who was playing out of the yard, right? Reanimating stuff. This could be a way to nerf those reanimate targets out of the graveyard. So you get to get an artifact or creature out the hand. You get to hit something in the yard. This seems pretty good, and it's exiled, so it isn't coming back. What about the foil version on this, Brody? 25 cents. 25 cents. 25 cents for the foil, and then it's a penny market foil. So this card's quite cheap. It was as high as $5 though. It's a 20-cent card. Dreams of Steel and Oil from Brothers War. So Jimmy, I'm kind of with you on this one. Like I took a look at Mayhem Devil and a couple of the uncommon cards that were printed in foil. Like me, I'm certain that like some of these cards that will only see one printing and likely not be reprintable in other sets when they're printed in foil, and then like it's if it's a mechanic or something that sort of makes sense to just be at that plane. If it doesn't make sense to like, you're not going to get Phyrexian cards unless you're on the right plane, right? So cards that are sort of a single printing on a plane where it's unlikely we're going to go back there and see a reprint or maybe some support for that card. It's kind of tough to speculate, but I think that the foil uncommons actually have some longevity. Can you make multiple lists? Because that's a lot to scroll through. Yeah, so that was one of the requests. So I did mention as far as feedback. Now I wanna just take a minute here. Okay, so let's go over to this cardboard splendor here this morning. I gotta take a trip with you folks. Join me on an adventure. Because here's somebody, and you got to bear with me. Unless I've met you in person, it's going to be very difficult to build a relationship and have communication in Discord. Like, let me talk to you just a second here, real mano y mano, because I like what I see so far. And if you can't give me something to look at, it's very difficult to understand where you're coming from. But a fellow like Benson, him and I think we talk every single day on the Twitter feed. He's in New York City and he's making shorts, and I played with him on Discord and spent some time together. So you kind of get to know somebody. So I get to know a lot of people from around the world, and it's great. It's been a real blessing, and it's truly an honor to have each of you in my patronship and my viewership, including you, Robert O'Brien. It's nice to see you here, fella. We will cross each other's path in Kelowna one day soon. So when people contact me and they pitch ideas, and there's a lot of hopes and dreams out there, and people want to do things, I think it's great. I will do my very best to encourage you, but without showing me a little bit of what it is you're trying to do. It's really difficult for me to just kind of look at a YouTube channel, or look at look at a profile without having some kind of a background. So excuse me. So here's a fella, a very interesting video. I would check it out. So there's a fellow who's a programmer. So Cardboard's got a few interesting videos coming out here, and it appears to me that what he is trying to do is use some of his coding expertise and talents to be able to pull data from some of these websites, which is quite an awesome skill to have. So you got to remember, a lot of people think they're computer programmers, but you want to see somebody who can actually write script. So I think he's using Python script to build an app that will actually do what we were discussing here, buying multiple lists. So if you get a chance, you can check it out. I'll put a link in the description to this channel here. Let's maybe just take a look here. There's a little quick teaser here for you folks. What's going on? Quick tease. The gathering cool designs.
Cut out to prepare something like this.
While I make satirical MTG art, I'm attempting to build the first, quote, MTG brokerage firm providing fractional shares of inventory. To update you about my spreadsheet automation in development, I've realized there are no price fetching in Scryfall for sealed products. So, I turned to scripting in Python to log in for me into MTG stocks to pull my inventory out into my spreadsheet.
Okay, where's the record button?
Most likely Python in the back end.
Okay, we're recording.
Ruby Rails forward facing.
Go to terminal.
This was just practice, not a final build.
So here we got some programming happening.
Here we go. Hands free. Hands free.
And the interesting part I found about this is that he was actually
Can't
able
wait to have something to show for it.
He was actually able to pull an Excel version of the inventory assets straight off of MTG stocks and export it into a sheet. So this is what we want to do. I mentioned the ability to be able to download or export to Excel to the folks over at MTG stocks. I also did mention it would be nice to create multiple lists, for example. So when we're dealing with these watch list items, it would be nice if we could sort and filter, like add another filter to this list. So you could have watch cards. I would have a standard watch list, and then perhaps like a modern watch list and a reserved list watch list. But if you guys have any, so something like that to be able to separate these lists, because right now we've got a big mix. We've got a plethora of everything, right? So that's what you're talking about, right? So yes, I have given a little bit of a feedback to the folks. It would be nice to have multiple lists. See, right now we've got Dust to Dust, Echoing Deeps, and all these other different cards that may or may not be in standard, may or may not be in modern, but definitely the Transmute Artifact. This doesn't belong in a standard or a modern list at all. So yes, it would be kind of nice to sort and filter that. So I believe Splendor is working on a project that can pull data from your lists and sort it and filter it into an Excel sheet. Another thing that would be very nice to be able to do here is export this list. And currently there's no way to do it. If you wanted to share this list with somebody else, it would be nice to hit a button here and be able to export this list to a spreadsheet, and then you could send it to your friends, or you could share it. You could use it to upload another list. So I know this is a work in progress, and the fellas there are working on it. Yes, and you could have Dalton Stark's list O Jank. I like it. Exactly. Brian's trying to wake up. Now that's a deal. A lot to scroll through. So yes, it would be nice if you could have multiple lists. What else do we want to add on here? So we're building a list together on our finance journey. Let's take a look here. Cousin Jimmy, long time. I'd need cousin law skill set later. Okay, so if you get a chance, check out Cardboard Splendor and maybe give him some feedback because I may not be the best person to do that. I can give you some encouragement, some feedback. You can look at it, and I'll definitely try to work with you. But my time is so limited during the workday. So we've also got penny stocks. Where's this other one that I wanted to see under premium? This is another list for you folks here where if you want to make some money, this is where we want to go. Card Kingdom Interest is another place to go if you want to take a look at a good list. These are all cards and the prices for them as posted by Card Kingdom and thus can differ from prices on the card pages themselves. So what, Nicola vending machine from Universes Beyond up 200%. These are all we've already got some pre-release cards and picks in the tools on your premium gives more than basic. Yes, in the tools, yes. I got all these different tools, right? So these are some of the premium picks for Card Kingdom as far as the Universes Beyond and Fallout cards are already starting to show up here. We've got quite the move here. 200% on the Nicola vending machine. Drafna, the founder of Latnam's up 60%. Citadel Siege. Another card that I think Benson was saying is Darksteel Citadel. The Citadels are also starting to move up under your account. Let's check this out. Under the account. In tools, settings, decks, watch cards, inventory, transactions. There's no tools button. So let's scroll this list here and see what's moving up. We got roughly a 60%. Bad River. Are these bad fetch lands actually moving up in price? Take a look at this, the Mirage ones. This might be something to pick up. When do you ever see the Bad River and the bad fetch lands moving up in price anytime? Here's a card and part of a land cycle. I would say this is probably not a bad pickup. Under account, you want me to roll account? Let's explore this together. Account, yes. There's no tools. So account, settings, decks, watch cards, inventory, transactions. So the inventory is where you can put cards that you've got in your inventory, and I've added a couple here, and it would be nice if this tracked the movement under inventory. Yes, so we can toggle this. There's tools. Where's the tools? Okay, let's hit the tools. All right, import inventory and export inventory. Yes, so here's the tools here. So you can't export you can't export your watch list. You can export your inventory. Okay, and then import inventory is where you can add somebody else's list. Quite interesting. So yes, if you add these, this is where I'm trying to experiment a little bit with the premium functions, is that you've got a couple of different lists here. There's your watch list. You've got your watch cards list. This list I can't export or import, and then you've got your inventory. So these are cards that you actually put into your inventory, and it will track the prices of them for you. So if you want to track the entire value of your collection, the inventory list may be a way to do that. Cousin Jimmy says the Mirage fetch lands are a cheaper alternative, and there are ways getting around them coming into play tapped issue. I think that's a pretty good speculation because The new card that I'm spelunking on, or speculating on, I'm spelunking on speculating. I'm speculating on spelunking pretty hard. Let's see, watch cards, inventory. Let's go watch cards. So I'm gonna add the Bad River to our watch cards. It's actually I think I want to. I mean, here when you talk speculation, when you look at cards like spelunking, and I mean, I'm telling you, disclaimer, I've bought at least 100 copies of that card. At least. Maybe 2. I don't know. I didn't count yet. I'm going to add them to the inventory, but my price basis is pretty low. I think the fact that any card that brings lands into play untapped is quite good. All lands you put into play enter untapped with Spelunking, so that's quite good. So all of a sudden, cards that are inherently bad become not too bad anymore, such as these Bad River. And it's an older card from Mirage. So this card has got to be at least 20 years old or better. It's only sat around the dollar mark for the longest time. There's no foil version in it. It was as high as $16 once upon a time. So I think this is like a decent speculation. Maybe I'll put that on the watch list in the Mirage Fetchlands. I picked up 50 Spelunking and 50 Echoing Deeps. Bad River, they tell you it's bad in the name. It is bad, Dustin. It is bad. It's a terrible card, but maybe one day it'll be good. If we can make more ways for lands to enter the battlefield untapped, I know it's bad. I get laughed at when I play it. Good morning, Brody. I have you on the radio or the car going to work. Thank you for being an awesome human being and a good friend. I appreciate you, Michael from Boston. It's nice to have you with us here this morning. I got some great friends in the stream here this morning. It's great. I get to meet people from all over the world. We get to go on this Magic the Gathering finance journey. And Dustin, I would like to know, what card would you like? Spelunking appears to be a good spec. I think so. What do you want to put on the watch list here, Dustin? If there's any card that's a Bad River, right? I know I pick bad cards, I do, but like Lion's Eye Diamond was so bad when it was printed, everybody thought it would never get play, and look at where we are now. His card is broken, it's so busted. I mean, Wizards of the Coast is creating alternate win conditions with rolling dice. If you can roll 7 6s, you can win the game with the new Fallout set. So, I mean, it might take a while to get there, but I'm okay with that. Time in the market is always better than timing the market. Maybe if you spec on some of these dirt cheap cards like that have some possibility of being good, like a card like Memory Jar. Like I've even speculated. Let's put it I'm going to put another card in here. Memory Jar. Here's a card I'm like heavily speculated on. Okay, from Urza's block. Okay, this card is banned. Frenetic Efreet, that's your pick? I'm putting it on here, Dustin. Frenetic Efreet. Where's the Memory Jar? Let's refresh and get the Memory Jar. See, when I was buying up Memory Jar, I asked Dustin, this is years ago, I said, do you think this is a good spec? He says, go harder on the Memory Jar. But another card that you really should check out is Gilded Drake. And I only picked up a couple of copies of it because I think Dustin called that card at around like 50, 65 bucks. And now it's just like out of this world good. So we got Memory Jar on here. It says low. Oh, we actually get a picture for that one. That's good. Memory Jar right now is as low as $23. Now, here's a card that's banned in multiple formats. It's banned in Legacy. It's banned in most. Let's just check the listing on Memory Jar. But like my speculation for this card, the reason I want to spec on it so bad is because with the way power creep is going, and like it could get unbanned at some point. It's legal in Commander. You can't use it in Legacy, and it's restricted in Vintage. So the card is super good. 5 mana, you get 7 cards. And like my reason for speculating on this Memory Jar card was simply because if power creep gets to the point where like they're printing new cards and they're more and more powerful and more powerful, soon a card like this is going to seem not so difficult to deal with, not so bad. So I'm thinking if at all, if ever, this card ever sees an unbanning, especially in Legacy, the price is going to go up, especially on the foil version. And it keeps staying strong, nevertheless. So, like, this is a card that I've speculated on simply because, not just because it's a good card, because it draws you 7 cards, and we are always looking for ways to draw more cards, but simply because of the fact that it has been on a ban list for so long, and that my speculation is that perhaps one day it will become unbanned. And if that happens, we're going to be laughing. So we'll add the memory jar. Let's add the Frenetic Efreet, a card I don't even know what it does. Frenetic Efreet. Maybe I'm spelling it wrong. MTG Frenetic Efreet. I know I'm spelling it wrong. Frenetic Efreet. Frenetic. I'm spelling it wrong. Brody can't spell. From Mirage. Well, I like it already. I like it better and better. Anything from Mirage. Let's add the Frenetic Efreet, courtesy of Dustin. All right, this is your pick? Oh, all right. This is actually a decent card. It's $3. Well, how high was it? All-time high was 500. There's no way that could be right, but look at this card here. It's an Is It card. It's a 2/1 and it flies, and you pay 0 to flip a coin and target opponent calls heads or tails. If the flip ends up in your favor, Frenetic Efreet phases out, otherwise bury it. So if you lose the flip, this seems really bad. This seems terrible. I don't even know a way we can make this work, but I mean, phasing perhaps coming back and being relevant. 2/1 flyer for 3 mana with a 0 flip a coin. I guess you could put the flip a coin effect on, like, it's 0 to flip a coin, right? So you could put that on to this. How many times can you activate this? Can you activate this like 50 times in response and just make your opponent flip lots of coins? Is that what we want to do? I just love, but you can have hold priority and flip infinity times. Ooh, yes, that's what it is. Okay, so infinity flips. I like it. You can hold priority and flip infinity times. Very, very nice. Agatha's Soul Cauldron? Dalton wants that. All right, Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Card that we should add to the list. It's making waves, and like this thing won a game last night. I think Sean was playing this. Which version do we want? We want the pre-release version, we want the wilds, we want the promo. Let's put the one I opened in here. I opened one of these Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and it's so darn good. Wilds of Eldraine Extended. We want the extended, or we want just a basic? Let's put the basic one. I did open a Soul Cauldron, and at that point in time, I think it was only $20. And now this card has done nothing but go up in price because there's a lot of interaction with it. Holy smokes, the foil version is $46. It's up in the last 7 days. So that's a good place to start. Whoa, what's that? Do you hear that? Anybody? All right, you know what time it is. It's time to move. It's time to shake in your seats with me here this morning. I can feel the building moving. I can feel the building shaking. We're earthquaking along in the stream, building speculation lists, watch lists, and tracking the prices of magic cards. Here it is time for your movers and your shakers. Here this morning, it's Thursday, February 22nd. Join me on an adventure where we can talk about Magic the Gathering cards and the financial aspects that help each other down the Magic the Gathering journey together. Those of you folks who like to crack packs and open up stacks of Magic the Gathering cards, it's time for your movers and shakers list. Today is Thursday, so we're going to be taking a look at the legacy movers and the legacy shakers to see what's shaking this morning. Get a little bit of bacon and eggs in the pan. Perhaps you're out at work. Maybe you're hanging around the water cooler. Get something to snack on. Or if not, snack on the stream with me. Let's move. Let's shake. And let's take a look at the legacy list here this morning. I mean, it's too... Oh, no. I mean, it's to excel that guy at Dustin's, then the other guys you want to protect has that ability. Oh! So if you put Agatha's Soul Cauldron, if you exile the Ifrit, it gives all your bros the 0 flip a coin ability? Now that's next level tech. Ow! Thank you for that, Dalton. My smooth brain isn't working so well. When I miss these interactions, that's why I need you folks to join me here when we're talking about these card prices, because sometimes, you know, people look at different Magic cards from different angles and they see things that you don't always see at first glance. So very cool. Let's take a look at what's moving and what's shaking here this morning on the Legacy list. The Legacy, this is a format. See, like the thing is with Legacy, it's a paper format that people used to play quite a bit, but the player base for Legacy has been dwindling and dwindling so rapidly. It's hard to find a play group that even exists anymore that's more than 6 to 8 players. How I missed Alfonso without her phone. How I missed Alfonso without her phone yesterday. She was okay. She didn't even notice. I got home. She said, I didn't even notice. Oh, it's okay. That's what happens when two phones look alike. All you cell phones look alike, right? Oh, golly. So the Legacy player base has been dwindling, and I think the fact is most players who played Legacy who can't find play groups and can't find events to play in Legacy are starting to move to competitive Commander because the cards in the Legacy format transfer over very well. So I think we're seeing an uptick in competitive Commander play and a downtick in Legacy play simply for the fact that there's not a lot of event support for Legacy, and usually when you head out to a card store to play a Legacy event, the turnout is quite low. We've got the Moxman here this morning. Nice to see you here this morning. How do you make holy water? You boil the hell out of it. That's right. So watch out for the stream here. We're talking Legacy here this morning. We're talking about the player base and the dwindling uptick in players that are taking to the format of Legacy. And now what's starting to happen is those players are filtering over to competitive Commander. So cards moving up on the list, and now nevertheless, some of these might not necessarily be super playable cards, but the Northern Paladin from the Unlimited block, it's up 44%, and we don't know why. Let's investigate a little further here this morning. Good morning, Moxman. Nice to see you here, brother man. Good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. Just to backtrack a little bit, while I've got you in the stream, I'll mention this to you. Brody's now sponsored by MTG Stocks Premium. So we've got ourselves a premium account. We're building a watch list together, and we're putting cards on it so we can track the prices of these Magic cards. Do you want to join in on the fun? Do you got a speculation or a card we could add to the watch list for you? Something that we want to track long term. We could do unlimited amount with the... We can do an unlimited amount with the new premium membership. So that's good. We've also got an affiliate link here that we can share with you folks. Soldevi Excavations. Thank you. Let's put Soldevi Excavations. Let's put that down. Soldevi Excavation. But of course, Soldevi Excavations from Alliances. Oh, it's moving around. There we go. Let's add that one in there for the Moxman. We got to keep an eye on that. Give us a boomstick. Thank you for joining here this morning. Nice. Nice to have you with us here. Let me see if I can find the affiliate link here real quick. Then we'll get back to our movers and their shakers here this morning. Adding Soldevi Excavations. Let's take that. That's an interesting card. Let's see if we can grab the link here for you folks, and we'll put that up. All right. So yes, if anybody is interested in getting themselves a premium membership, please use my affiliate link here, and that includes any of you folks tuning in at home. And of course, if you don't want to pay the money, you can always join me on the morning show where we're going to be tracking the prices of Magic cards together, and feel no pressure, no need to go out and buy a copy of this right away. You can always join me, and you can add your favorite picks to the list. So let's get this into the chat here for you folks this morning. If you guys feel like you want to join in and get yourself a premium membership over at MTG Stocks, there's the link for anybody who wants to go it on their own, or you can just tune in and let me take you along for the ride here, where we explore the functions of the Mythic Edition of the Magic the Gathering Stocks Premium membership. So let's get back moving and shaking here this morning. If you guys, so that's what we're doing here. That's what's new in the chat. Here's a card that I think is going up in price simply due to the familiars. Let's check this out. Hey Mox, you don't need to track the market on Soldevi. You and your crew control that market. I want to see what's happening. I think the Familiars deck is playing this. This card's seen a bit of a tick up in price. Why the unlimited version per se? I guess it's probably because of the older art on it, right? We see a spike over here. We got a spike up to $400 or $500. I don't think that's natural, but the last little bit here, we've seen a bit of a tick up in price on this card. It's let's read the text on it. There's plenty of versions in it. Alpha Beta 7th edition foil coming in at $80, and the 4th edition foil all the way down at 50 cents. Not worth too much. The unlimited version is actually at parity with the 7th edition foil, and this card is quite good if you're just trying to destroy permanents. So it says 2 white and 2, you get a 3/3 Paladin, and 2, and you tap it to destroy a black card in play. Cannot be used to cancel a black spell that is being cast. I love the old wording on it. So let's look at the decks playing it. Dromar the Banisher. Is it the Familiars deck, or this is the color matter? Dromar. Ah, yes, this is the dragon that makes things happen. Whenever a Dromar deals damage to a player, you may pay a blue and 2, and if you do, choose a color and return all that color to their owner's hand. So this is the dragon legend that bounces everything of a color of your choice whenever it deals combat damage. And let's look down the list here and see if we can find the Northern Paladin. Yes, there it is there. So the Paladin showing up. It's got the Eastern Paladin as well. I think there's a Southern Paladin too. Did we get an Eastern Paladin that I'm missing? Yes, this one that destroys a green creature. So we've got like all the color hate for the Paladins, and included in the Dromar, the Banisher deck. We've got the Northern Paladin, the Eastern Paladin, we got the Southern Paladin, and the Western Paladin. So I think Dromar is pushing this deck to new accolades here. What do we got here? The Western, all the Paladins. What else are we doing? We're just doing straight up color hate and the Painter's Servant to be precise, to add another element of color to this list? I think so. The Northern Paladin, breaking out here this morning. There's a lot of cheaper versions of it, but the unlimited version tracking at 44% up. And this is the Ali from Cairo. So this is another Arabian Nights rare. I have one copy of this card, and I picked it up when I was about 15 years of age. We travel across the prairie provinces to a card store because a friend of mine said this is the best card in Magic. We always asked ourselves those questions. We said, what is the best card in the game right now? And then some people said, well, if you have this card out, you can't possibly lose. So I think I picked it up for about 60 to 75 or 80 bucks at the time when I was just a little gaffer, and I held on to it forever and forever. Turns out this card didn't see a lot of price action, and we'll look at the chart here. Going back, it only started to move roughly 3 years ago, and then and since then, the card it's been bottoming down in price. Now, we have been discussing the fact that we're in a bit of a bearish market. We're in a bit of a financial hard times right now. Money has never been worth less than it is right now. Dollars don't buy what they used to buy. And people who have equity, especially in their homes and in investments, the fact that we're moving interest rates up to a point where homes become unaffordable and even rent for places is getting to an astronomical level. People cannot keep up. And what's the reason for doing that? I'll tell you. The reason for doing that is because where I live in Canada, folks in Canada out of anywhere in the world own more equity in their homes than anywhere else in the planet. You can look it up. And if it's not the highest amount of equity in a home owned in Western world, Canada has some of the highest homeowner equity, meaning that people own more of their homes than people who don't. So the only way to get more money out of the people who live there is to increase interest rates and try and take some of that value out of your hard-earned home mortgage investment for your place that you live. So that's what's been going on with increasing the amount of money. So the problem happens is that more money gets printed and spent by the people who print it than the people who work, like myself, the working man for the working man, doing the best that I can, bring you folks a little bit of strategy to get some fun into your collection and talk finance here on Magic Cards. So the fact that people own so much of their home in Canada and probably in the United States and a lot of the Western world. The only way to get some of that equity out of those people's pockets is to increase interest rates, print more money, and spend it before the people who actually work for a living can earn it and spend it themselves. So that's where we're at. And that trend is going to continue. And according to my calculations, until 2026, then things are going to hopefully get a little bit better. We're on an uptick right now from 2023 to 2025. So this card here, the Ali from Cairo, it's continued to drift down in price since 2021, where it took a spike up in price to just about $1,000 and has been dwindling down in price for a while. So my opinion is that if you're worried about any of these cards going astronomically high in price, this is how this works. These prices are going to remain low for a period of time, and then the folks who actually have money, dry powder, will be buying these cards up steadily, dollar cost averaging a little bit of time while these prices are low, and be waiting for the price to go up. And I think that's going to take, this is a way when the economy goes so flat and so down, where things that money can buy get too expensive. That's when the people who are holding the money use it to buy up everybody else's assets. And then they wait for the price to go up and sell them off again. That's a generational wealth creation mechanism. And magic cards are no different. When we see people who have lots of extra money, spare income, they're making good bucks, or they're taking vacations and they're eating out a lot. There's lots of money to go around, and we see the card prices of these reserve list cards move up. But right now, everything's been kind of flat. Any decks using it? Zozu. I guess Zozu could use it. Why not? If you're playing lands, Zozu will punish anybody who plays a land. And Ali from Cairo seems like an okay card to put in a Zozu deck. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, Zozu, the Punisher, does 2 damage to that land's controller. And if you're playing Ali from Cairo, you can play as many lands as you want, and they're just not going to kill you. Money gets printed, flows to the top, wealth division grows. Hey, Brody, right now in Boston, it's 2 hours ahead, and pretty soon daylight savings will be here, making it 3 hours ahead of your time. Hmm. Okay, well, we don't have. I am in the center of the universe for all of those who don't know. Where I am at, we never change time. We don't. There is no, we don't have, we have one time zone. The rest of the world revolves around that time zone. That's the best way I can put it. We never change time. So I'll be here at the same time, and it might be a little bit easier for you to catch me, but we never change time where I'm at. Never ever. Won't do it, can't make me do it. Isn't that amazing? So when all you folks have to move your clocks ahead and move your clocks back, Brody stays the same. So with the time slot that we've got, it might be a little bit easier for you folks to tune in wherever you are because of reasons. What do we got here? Next on the list of Winter Orb, Unlimited Edition. By the way, Fortune Thief like Ali. Fortune Thief like Ali. Let's see. Fortune Thief. Let's check that out. Fortune Thief. From Masters 25. You want the Time Spiral version? You want the Masters 25? Damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. Ah, yes. And I like the art on this card. This is like from a period where, we used to have some interesting art. It's a human rogue. You can morph this face down, and I think there was an interaction. Time gonna be hard for somebody. Got to get up earlier. Yes, well, you know why I do this stream? I do this stream because of two reasons. One, I get to meet some amazing people, and I get to bring some energy to the world, and I get to share with you some optimism and help you along, get your day going. I also like to learn something from you folks and get some discussion going because 2 heads are better than 1, and 13 heads are better than 2. And the third reason is if I can inspire you folks to get up in the morning and move the economy and do the best that you can, just like I do each and every day, I want you to know that I'm working as hard as you are when I get up and I go out the door to bring some positivity and move the world and interact with people in a way that moves and makes a positive change in the world and keeps things going. So that's why I do the show, to encourage you folks to do the same. Because if you're tuning in from anywhere around the world, regardless of what time it is, I want you folks to know that I'm doing the exact same thing as you are each and every day. Except I'm getting up a little bit earlier to spend some quality time with you folks to discuss something that I love and am passionate about. And I want to bring you folks some good fortune and start your day off on a positive note each and every day, no matter what's going on. That's why I'm here for you. And we can join each other on this finance adventure where we can maybe try and get some fun into our Magic the Gathering collection to gain a better understanding as to why these cards are moving the way that they do. Thank you for that. Uh, Thank you for that suggestion, Moxman, because that Fortune Thief is a very, very good, and I do always like to have a cheaper alternative to a game-winning card. Like Ali from Cairo was 4, and the Fortune Thief is 5, and it's only 1 red instead of 2. So this is a 0/1. It's pretty much the same card. You can morph it face down for 2 and then turn it face up for 3 later. But the point is, if you want that particular interaction where you don't lose the game, maybe you're playing the Zozu deck and the Ali from Cairo is just too much money. I like to get some cheaper versions of cards that do the same thing. And if you're playing Commander and you need that exact same interaction twice or over, we're always looking for other ways to get that same card interaction on another card that does the exact same thing, and not paying a lot of money for it is decent. Use both. Why not both? Do you want Ali from Cairo or the Fortune Thief? Why not both? Exactly. You can have it both ways. You know what we call that in the game of Magic the Gathering? We call that having your cake and your pie, right? You know that saying, I have my cake and I eat it too? No, 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 no. We know we want to eat the cake. We have our cake and our pie, and then we get to eat both of them. That's the best way. All right? Have your cake and eat it too, but have your cake and your pie, one right after the other, and you can have it either way you want. Winter Orb. Lands don't untap as usual. Each player may only untap 1 land during each of their untap steps. Ho, ho, ho. So a card like this, an old school card that really, really is quite powerful. There's different ways to break it, Wilderness Reclamation is the way that I'm playing it currently because it gives you an untap step at the end of your turns. I think you're going to see prison decks or stacks decks, more of them in competitive Commander playing this card because it creates a board state that's very difficult to deal with and it slows down the people who are trying to combo off and play too quickly. There's ways to get around this. The interesting thing about this card is the fact that it's an older card, and back when it was printed, it was named as a continuous artifact. This artifact is continuous, which means it continues to do what it does when it's on the battlefield. However, if it becomes tapped for any reason, then the card it turns it off, just like Howling Mine. I think there's two cards that I know of in the continuous artifact cycle that actually stop doing what they're doing once they're tapped. And that was when we had different, if you look back at the history of Magic the Gathering, now we have Artifact. Artifact is just Artifact, right? And it doesn't have uh, the different subtypes to Artifact. We used to have Boo! Yes! Yes! Right? Thank you for that. Yes, get out of here, Brody. You take your baseball and your winter orb and go home, right? Nobody wants to play that. But we had different types of artifacts early in the game of Magic. Now we just have artifacts, straight up. We have artifact, artifact, creature, end of story. But we used to have three different types. We'd have artifact, actually maybe four. You'd have poly artifact, mono artifact, and continuous artifact. Right? There was three different types, and they all meant three different things. A continuous artifact is something it's just to tell us that it's always doing its thing. But if it became tapped, then uh, then it stopped doing its thing. And then there was mono artifact, which mono meaning one, means you have to tap it to do the thing that the artifact does. So if you see mono artifact, that's what that means. And then there's poly artifact, which is the one where you I believe, when you pay mana as an activation cost and you can do it multiple times. So poly, multiple. So that's sort of the way this card worked. And that with the Winter Orb and the Howling Mine were a couple of cards okay, so you want me to be a little more friendly in the play group, right? Boo hiss. All right, if you're looking for ways to turn this off, you can use the Icy Manipulator. That was the big one, but the one that I like, Relic Barrier. I might add this to the watch list here because Relic Barrier is quite good. It's an uncommon from Legends, and let me ask Cousin Jimmy what he thinks about this uncommon from Legends. I know this card was reprinted. Actually, in Fifth Dawn, we got another printing of it, right? The Relic Barrier, tap target artifact, but I don't think there's any better way to tap an artifact other than for the Relic Barrier for 2 mana. I mean, come on, it's quite good. For $6 for a Legends copy, this is quite a good card. I don't see, the downside to this. It's got the old black border. It's got some great Harold McNeil art on it. It's quite good. It's useful. It turns off the Winter Orb. What more could you want? It can even turn off your Howling Mine. So if you're building an artifact deck, and you want to use the mechanics that you tapping artifacts and untapping them and creating board state. Look at this, the Relic Barrier. This card was as high as $40. I'm going to put this on the watch list. Relic Barrier. Let's go. Let's go Relic Barrier. Legends version. It's a good card. I like it. Relic Barrier. Let's put it on the list. We want the Fifth Dawn version? No. We want the Legends. Decent card. All right, card I've been very fond of. I have one copy that I picked up, I think, 5-10 years ago, maybe for $1 or $2 from the Legend set. I like the fact that it was an old card with an old border and it was quite good. It might not be out there, but I just ordered a Nova Pentacle, and I think it could be a hit of a Commander card. Yeah, Nova Pentacle, yes, we've been talking. Let's put that on the list. It deserves to be on there. I picked up a Nova Pentacle from a showcase in and around 2 years ago when I saw one in a showcase in the store, and it was just a couple of bucks, and I added Relic Barrier to that order. Nice. A hell of a Commander card, Nova Pentacle. I think it's pretty decent. This is a Legends card, another Legends card, right? So this is 4 mana. It's quite expensive. It's got a quite quite a spooky art on it, but nevertheless, if you pay 3 and tap it, redirect damage done to you from one source to target creature of an opponent's choice. So if you don't have any creatures out there, and your opponents do, this is an interesting way to redirect some damage. Not a bad way to do it. What's that even costing these days for the Nova Pentacle? I know it's a card that was as high as $129. It's sitting at about $22 right now for the Nova Pentacle. Not a bad card. It's been drifting down and has been as high as $20. I can't believe that. This is incredible. Incredible. It's been as high as see some of these, like, look at these charts, folks. You see a trend, like a lot of stuff, like when people had some free money or extra money, or right before we went into this state of confusion in the entire world, like right around 2020, 2021, things were ticking along quite good until everything sort of crashed. Now nobody's got any residual income like to spend on spare magic cards, and this has been making for a steady downtick in the prices over some of these older cards, and like some of these less paid attention to magic cards that like Nova Pinnacle here are quite nostalgic. It's got the nostalgia factor for sure. So that and the Winter Orb, the Relic Barrier. Look at the chart on Winter Orb. This is the unlimited version. I picked up a copy of an unlimited Winter Orb a few years ago, and I think I got a better deal on it than it is sitting at now. But the point is, it takes time. Decks using it? All right. Plenty of decks using the Winter Orb. Look at boo, hiss. We've got the hot dice hissing and booing me for bringing up this card and actually liking it. But it seems like a good way to avoid commander damage. In fact, you are correct. Heck of a way to avoid some commander damage. We've got Urza Lord High, Duretti, the Imperial Tactician, Durevi. Sorry, there's Duretti and Durevi. You know what card is really good, though? And I must say, I'm enjoying this card, Duretti. It's a hard one to spell. Duretti? All right, I can't spell Duretti, but I think it's quite good because if something like Mana Crypt is going to kill you, or something like the One Ring is about to kill you, the Duretti Planeswalker can actually save your bacon. Even Mount Doom can save your bacon from the One Ring killing you. So having a few different ways to sacrifice artifacts is never actually a bad thing. We got Gilded Drake here. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you this morning. Good morning, sunshine. Gilded Drake is $269. I wish I had more copies of this. And I wish I had listened to Dustin years ago when he told me this card is definitely one to pick up. It's on the reserve list and it sees play in all kinds of formats, including Legacy, and it's very good. Vintage as well, but mostly these days, the people who are playing this in Legacy will be shifting into Commander and say, "Gotta go, crew. Have a good day. Nice to see you. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate all your comments. Peace, love, happiness to you, and enjoy your day. Have a very May the sun be on your face and the wind at your back. Have a very good one. My man. My cousin Jimmy tuning in this morning, giving us some picks. Add to the list. I like it. Gilded Drake's quite good. It's on the reserve list, so we're never going to see this one again. It's from Urza's Saga, so you won't ever find a foil copy of it. Don't let anybody try and sell you a foil copy. It doesn't exist. There's only one printing of it ever, and now it's $270, and it's a Drake, and it's a 3/3. Now, some interesting interactions happen with this. If you can remove the creature that they're targeting with the Gilded Drake, nothing happens. You don't exchange control. The keywords here, exchange. Control of Gilded Drake. When you cast it, when it enters the battlefield, you exchange control of this card and up to one target creature an opponent controls. If you don't or can't make an exchange, sacrifice Gilded Drake. This ability still resolves if its target becomes illegal. So if you can somehow remove the creature that they're trying to take in exchange from you, then the Gilded Drake will actually go to the graveyard. So just keep that in mind if you're ever playing against this. If you've got a sack outlet in some way, you can get rid of the creature that they're trying to take from you, your sweet, sweet creature. If they're trying to steal you, rob you of your precious, try and find a way to sacrifice it or bounce it or blink it or remove it, and then the Gilded Drake kind of fizzles, goes to the graveyard. But other than that, I cracked a Drake from a pack, and I still have it. I love that guy. Or of the Drake is gone, it also stops it. Or if the Drake is gone, it also stops it. Or if you can remove the Drake. Yes. So Drake enters, then you red elemental blast the Drake. Or is that what you're talking about, Dalton? I think we had this interaction the other day at a table, and you explained it very well. So Drake is quite expensive. Let's take a look at the chart on the Drake. And we're not talking about like Drake from the Six, or Drake who's trending on the internet, or Drake who's the rapper. This is the real Drake. This is the good Drake. Wow, a card that was up to $600. I think this card, like, let's take a look at the chart on it. It took a level pump up to around Zendikar for a couple $300, and it hit as high as $600 in and around Kaldheim. And then Strixhaven it held for a little bit, and now it's been trending down in price. This card has actually come down to about $200 or $300, and it's definitely going to return to 600. This card will go eventually like Mox Diamond. It'll keep going higher. It's not going to go anywhere. It's from the reserve list, and it's from the Urza's block, and those cards are quite rare. I think long term, this card will actually hit $400, $500, or $600 again, and then just steady out around there. It's not going to go anywhere. Deck's using it. Niv Mizzet, the Niv deck, is playing it. One of my top reserve list picks, Yavimaya Hollow. Shh, don't tell anyone, just the Brodies. Just the bros? You want to put me the Yavimaya Hollow on there? I got to put it on the list now. Coming. All right. Brody Alfonso's got your MTG Stocks Premium account handled. Let's go with the Yavimaya Hollow. Yavimaya. We want the Hollow. Lots of Yavimaya Hollow. From Destiny. I opened a Yavimaya Hollow. I did quite well just a few years ago. I was picking up packs of Destiny when they were really cheap. They were about $75 a pack. 60, $70. So I bought a bunch of cards from Urza's Destiny. I bought a bunch of packs just because I wanted some minty, fresh cards. And that's going to be the only way you're going to find mint versions of some of these cards. I would check eBay from time to time because I do that myself just to see if people are unloading packs. If you can find sealed older packs for the right price, it's a good way to get mint cards. You got to be lucky to hit something like the Yavimaya Hollow or maybe a Gilded Drake. Quite difficult to do, but if you can, that's the only way you're going to get some really, really good mint condition copies of these cards, especially these old ones. And now we got the Chromox on here. You know what's crazy? Look at this. Okay, so Secret Lair 30th Anniversary Countdown Kit. So, Mrs. Alfonso's, when she picks magic cards, man, she picks some good ones, unless they weigh them according to Dual Brain. Yeah, well, apparently the person who sold me my packs didn't weigh them because I got a foil Carnival and Souls in there. I've never seen anything like that. So that was incredible for Dual Brain to make that video and explain how you can actually weigh packs with foils and they weigh a little bit more. Dastardly secret, right? So if you okay, maybe that's bad advice, right? Unless they weigh them. So Mrs. Alfonso bought us a convention in a box, and I think it was a convention edition, a Magic the Gathering convention pack. And in there came some of the secret layer with the artifacts and the Moxen. So now that I'm looking at this, the secret layer anniversary edition, like the Chrome Mox alone, is now $120 US, which is quite high. So I think that festival in a box that included the secret layer, which had I think it has the Signet, the Opal, the Chrome Mox, and a few others in the foily version. Very, very good. Your beard is looking particularly luxurious this morning. Well, thank you. Thank you. It keeps me safe when I'm walking at night, and it also ties the room together. Thank you very much. Cracking Jank. Nice to see you here. Speaking of cracking Jank, we can crack some Chrome Moxes. Let's see the foil version of this. Oh, this is a Commander staple. A very good card. Thanks for joining us here, Kraken Jank. Do you have any speculations that you want to add to the list, our watch list? Here, we've got a watch list going. We've got ourselves a premium version of the MTG Stocks premium account, sponsored in part by MTG Stocks. So Brody's now got that affiliate link up for you folks, and we're creating a watch list for any of your speculations or cards that you think we should keep an eye on and you want to let us know about, please share it with us in the comments and we'll add them there. Already I got to add a few when I get off the stream here. Got to add all the surveil lands for Dalton and a few other. We got unlimited spots, so we can take a look at those specs and see where they move. So who was it talking about the transmute artifact? Here's the other half of it. Let's compare the two and see where we're at. Transmute and power. Transmute. Transmute artifact. Transmute artifact from Antiquities. $382 for transmute. Somebody's bearish on this one, right? I think it's the Mill Master. He's bearish on this one. This one's been taking a tick up in price. And these two were actually around the same price for the longest time. $290 for this one, but the One Ring pushed this one over the cliff, right? These two were very similar. If you look at the two charts, like let's put them side by side, actually. You see there's the transmute chart going back to August 30, 2020. And then we've got the power artifact chart going back to just about the same time period, and also seeing a spike up in price. If I bet on the power artifact, I did. I bet on the wrong one. Now the transmute is going up. Outlaws of Thunder Junction sounds that might have some desert-related cards, so the old deserts might see a jump in price if that's the case. Okay, so what if we add desert nomads, right? And the reason I like that card is because there's only, I think, one printing on it. It's got Christopher Rush art on it, so the illustrator of the Black Lotus. It's a red creature. It's got protection from desert. So is that something that you think might be decent? Here's a decent card. And I'm not talking about as like the most playable card, but look at the art on it. It's amazing. It's Christopher Rush. It's quite good. For art, it's 1 red and 2. It's from one of the rarest sets in Magic the Gathering altogether. And it's got Desert Walk, so if your opponents have a desert in play, you can't block this. And it's immune to damage done by deserts. So maybe the Desert Nomads for $2.55 in the market low. Let's keep an eye on that one for you, Mr. Kraken Jank. Thank you. So market price right now is $5. It's been as high as $75. So maybe take a look at the chart on that. Add Swarm Yard. Let's do that. One for the Mr. DJ Long. So look at this card, Desert Nomads. I think a card like this could do quite well. Is there any available at the vendor shop? Perhaps. Buy on Card Kingdom, $5.49. Let's see if they got any. $5.49 out of stock. Okay, so this tells me that maybe the card is moving. So Desert Nomads, you can get it on TCG Player. It costs you $2.50. It's a common card, I believe. Gotta go to work. Have a great day. Some bacon and eggs for you, Mr. Michael Superbacker. I appreciate it. Get yourself something delicious to eat. What did the waffle say to the cereal? I'm surprised how much I like you. All right? And don't be underestimating the power of a good bagel, Michael. It can be a real holy grail of breakfast food. And 2 pancakes were sitting on a plate. One says to the other, looks like you're trying to stack up your game. All right, let's keep going. Let's look at a few more Magic cards here this morning on the movers and the shakers list, and then we'll get into one more article here today. I got a good one, actually. We got to add a card for DJ here. Let's Swarm Yard. You like the Swarm Yard? Swarm Yard. Here, let's check it out. Swarm Yard. Is that the one that gets we want the Time Spiral remastered? Maybe just a straight up Time Spiral version for that one, Mr. DJ. Let's add the Swarm Yard to the list. So this is our watch list cards. Let's see. Time Spiral. $9. As high as 29. It's not up today, but it could be. It could be one day soon. Let's keep an eye on it. So then we got Savannah, a dual land, Vault Island, another dual land, and Mana Matrix. Actually, this card, like, I'm just gonna go straight to the mana matrix. Okay, so here's a card I've been looking at for a long time. I don't own this card. It's on the reserve list, so that means I have to get it eventually. It's 6 mana. Instant enchantment spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, so it gives you a rebate on them. I was thinking more along the lines of Desert Lands from Amonkhet, but that Nomad definitely has some dope old school art. It does. That's why I like it. It's the first thing I thought of. There's actually just straight up desert, you know? What about Ramanap Ruins from Amonkhet? That's a card, and then there's another one that I really like. It's the desert, and the name is eluding me right now. It's because scavenging grounds, because that's a desert that puts -1/-1 counters on things. Scavenging grounds. Hour of Devastation. No, Scavenger Grounds. This one. Yes, this one. I like this one. Oh, exile all cards from all graveyards. There's another desert from Amonkhet that puts -1/-1 counters on creatures. You sack it, and you can put -1/-1 counters on creatures. I think it's quite good. Perhaps that one. Scavenging Grounds, yes, that's the one that exiles the graveyard. I see that now. I got it mixed up with another desert. There's a few. My desert tech isn't so up to point, but it's good worth studying up on some of those deserts. So we'll do that. But let's take a look at some of these. Your last mover in your shaker, this mana matrix. Let's take a look. It's reserve list, and other than that, if you're playing instants and sorceries, you can get a 2 mana rebate on it. So like a time walk will cost you 3 instead of the usual 5. It seems okay, but I mean, is this good enough to play in Commander? I've got a bit of a new mindset when it comes to Commander. Some of the bigger rocks, like the Gilded Lotus, the Thran Dynamo, and some of the bigger mana rocks that tap for like multiples, like the Throne of Eldraine. I used to not even consider playing those in Commander, but now I'm starting to see, like, if the games end up going long, that sweet, sweet mana and the rocks that make big mana actually be quite good. So maybe this has got a home in a Commander deck that plays instants and sorceries, maybe Storm or something like that. The interesting thing about this is it doesn't say that it cannot reduce the cost to less than 1. So you can actually, if you have like a Wheel of Fortune or a Wheel Time Twister, a Wheel of Fortune, or one of those 3 mana wheel spells, then that wheel now costs you 1. So storming off can be quite easy. It's going to be expensive to put this onto the battlefield for 6, but nevertheless, you may be able to find a way to play it. Just a big old mana reduction rock, the mana matrix here. Played in Joyrroyal, the Weatherlight Captain, not a bad card. And a choice of a commander card. So we've got one more news article for you folks today. We're hitting it at a long stream here this morning. That's right. Never expect the butterfly. You hear me? All right, let's check out some new so another article. So Max Kennel gave us an article that was quite funny the other week, 2 weeks ago. I think it was the waifu tax on Magic the Gathering cards, where we discussed the Japanese alternate animation versions of cards and why do they cost so much more than just a basic art version of the same gall darn card. I think Kennel coined the phrase the waifu tax, and that's something you'll have to pay a little bit extra for if you want to get maybe the foil anime version of Narset or one of these other anime cards that cost so much more. So we got another article from Max Kennel. I'm expecting to laugh here at this one. It might be a good one, but we're talking about murders at Karloff Manor, guild leader variants for your collection. So let's take a look. Oh, no, wait. That's a new one. That was new. Oh, top picks for Karloff Manor Commander decks, and then the Karloff Manor Team Leader variants for your collection. Oh, this is going to be tough. Matt Grechnik. Let's go with Matt. Matt's been with us for a while. All right, we're gonna pivot here. Okay, there's 2 more articles, unfortunately. Usually these articles come out at about 8 a.m. and I'm usually at work by then. But this is an interesting time because we got a good stream for you folks today. We can catch a couple of new articles, one from Matt Grzelczyk. We're talking about the top picks from Karloff Manor Commander deck. So let's take a look at this. Weavs be weaving. Your setup looks dope. Thank you, sir. I got set up the stock desk here for this article and you folks. This is we're talking about four detectives, and we're talking about the top picks for Karlov Manor, and we're bringing you by Mr. Matt Grzechnik. The Murders of Karlov Manor set introduces four new commander decks, each reflecting upon a theme from the main set, comprising of 45 new cards and a diverse selection of reprints. The product maintains a familiar formula established in recent set releases. Despite the less than astonishing value, the decks remain balanced in terms of pricing and giving them 15% variance currently depending on the retailer. When it comes to gameplay dynamics, no single set, no single deck overtakes the other, as each deck presents a unique set of strengths and weaknesses. From my perspective, the Revenant Recon deck stands out slightly as providing a robust structure and components tailored for reanimator strategy, incorporating value and support pieces of premium removal options. So double jeopardy. What do we got here? This Fiendish Duo. Exploring some noteworthy reprints in the set, let's delve into Fiendish Duo, which is a card that's consistently evaded reprinting since its debut. A staple in commander decks, particularly players emphasizing on a red damage base strategy line. So what is it? It's a 5/5 for 6 mana. It costs you 2 red and 5. This devil creature's got first strike, and if a source would deal damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage to that player instead. Doubling damage is insane, especially in a commander deck. There's even one that I think Fiery Emancipation, and there's another one that triples damage. I mean, the Fiendish Duel is finally reaching more affordable prices through its attachment to a creature that makes it less resilient in enchantments and counterparts. This recent reprint has pushed its price down to around $30 from the original Game Night 2019 version of 41. With Commander deck copies currently averaging under $4, now might be an opportune moment to acquire a few copies. What is it at right now? It's cheap like borscht. This is only $3 now to double your combat damage just to your opponents. And I like the fact that this card is not synergistic, meaning that it doesn't give it to all players, just you and your crew. They can do double damage. Doing double duty here on the stream. We're going for 2 hours or more here this morning. So this is a good one. Continuing the trends in Simic cards and engines, Coma Cosmos Serpent, originally from Kaldheim, had a single set print run, causing its market price to hover around the $13 mark. The free print has significantly lowered the price to $4 and provides a window for potential stability before a gradual increase over time. Coma's current appeal lies in its position as one of the top end cards in Pioneer decks focused around Atraxa the Unifier. Atraxa. Establishing consistent token generations and generational control options. So we've also got Dead Weight in white. That's the card that gives things -2/-2 in black. All right, recent efforts to bolster White's standing in Commander has continued with Unexplained Absence. An instant that says for each player, exile up to one target non-land permanent that the player controls. For each permanent exile this way, its controller cloaks the top card of their library. Smash the likey button. Thank you, Mr. DJ. And Trouble in Pairs. So some white card. Trouble in Paradise. What's this one do? 2 white and 2. If an enchantment, if an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. However, whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, draws their second card each turn, or casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. This is actually really good. As a stacks piece, no more extra turns for you. If you attack me with 2, I'm going to draw. And if you cast 2, you're going to draw a card as well. This is quite a deterrent. Both cards offer a scalable value relative to your opponents, but are hindered by their own restrictions. Unexplained Absence is a removal card that gains value with more players in the game. Let it exposes players to potential card advantage for opponents via face-down cards, which could be better or worse than the removal line threat. Currently priced at $7, its ceiling is likely closer to $12 to $17. In the meantime, Trouble in Pairs serves as a creatively powerful up version of Smuggler's Share. It demands that the player keep count during the game while offering a means to control with opponents who might be gaining more value on their turns. Priced at $22 right now. It is popular and may be temporary, but it's limited impact unless opponents are actively gaining an advantage. So, clues with a punch. Some interesting white cards. All right, we got an honorable mention to the underrated card in the set, Merchant of Truth. Let's read this one. 4 mana, some good white stuff. What's in the middle? The white stuff. We got 2 white and 2 for a 2/5 flyer. When a non token creature you control dies, you can investigate. And clues you control have exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature clues you control have exalted. So your clues are now exalted. Okay. Don't quite understand how you want a clue exalted, but we'll get to it. Honorable mention to an underrated card in the set, Merchant of Truth, which continues to resource generation and an evasive body with a secondary use for clue tokens on the battlefield. Though it's not a flashy game ender, it's nice inclusion in decks embracing the aristocrat theme. Currently priced at $1 and on a downward trend, this combo piece may see a spark in interest after some testing and play, potentially rising to a $5 average. So pennies on the dollar, we got the Commander series excelling and making a staple card more accessible through the online reprints, and it was shown in the past year with cards like Toxic Deluge, hitting $7 despite wide legacy play and a previous high of $40. Jessica's Will, Reanimate, and Necromancy, previously higher priced cards, have found their way onto the chopping block in this release. While this benefits players, it also raises concerns about potential value loss for other cards with higher price reprints becoming commonplace. There is a growing need for players to invest in a deck upgrades to safeguard against value depreciation. Wow. Necromancy, a card that'll bring, it's an enchantment, right? And it'll bring something back from the graveyard, another reanimate spell. So you get to cast this as though it had flash, which is quite cool. If you cast it, anytime you have sorcery, it can be cast at controller of the permanent, it becomes, sacrifices it at the beginning of the next cleanup step. When Necromancy enters the battlefield, if it's on the battlefield, it becomes an aura with enchant creature and in uh, put it on the battlefield. Put target creature card from a graveyard to the battlefield under your control and attach a Necromancy to it. When Necromancy leaves play, that creature also leaves play. So with the release of the product, talking to Murders of Karloff, the distinction between a recommendation for seasoned new players becomes blurred, and some decks contain several notable cards, which make for a fine pickups for either playing or disassembly, leaving that lasting impression on the seal of products that the imminent commander specific release. Brody is still live. I just finished a batch and have batch 2 processing already, and I finished the designs for my War of the Spark repack, strictly better than War of the Spark. Yes, Brody is still rocking here. We got Master Grzecznik, who started playing in the release of Dragon's Maze, bringing us some awesome commander pickups to get your deck, especially if you're playing white. And Matt's been experimenting with multiple formats, and he's got a love for EDH and Pauper. Connected with Matt over on X, and if you're on X or Twitter, the webpage formerly known as Twitter, I would suggest looking him up because the guy is the hell of a writer here, and I enjoy his work. And he's brought us some really excellent picks here this morning to pick up for perhaps just like a couple of dollars of some white stuff. I do like the card I really like is this one, Trouble in Pairs. Very good. Another white stacks piece. And then Unexplained Absence. Not so much, but the Trouble in Pairs card, this card here is an awesome recommendation. I like it. It's quite good. And should we do one more article, being that it just came out? Yes. Yes, we should. This one's for you, Brain. Karloff Manor Guild Leader variants for your collection. Well, back with Max Kennel bringing another edition of the Variant Vault, where we're organizing Magic the Gathering card variants by price from most to least expensive to determine the variant that's best for you. Today, we'll be discussing and solving the mystery of what many showcase variants in the recent release Murders of Karloff Manor has excited players for. All right. The most based on the market data using 7 guild leader cards from the expansion set as my data set. Oh, and 6 lucky packs will have redemptions for a full unopened War Japanese box? What? OMG. You mean this stuff right here? Is this the stuff? This is the good stuff? This is the good stuff. My favorite, War of the Spark. The Japanese. Easy pleasy Japanesey, right? I like it. Nice. So magnified. Sorry about the magnified showcase cards. You're a valid variant with some stellar pieces of art, but the guild leaders cover most of the variants across the board, and the magnified variants have been relegated. So the story spotlight card, which is mostly composed of commons and uncommons. So there's 73 total variants across the tournament legal printings available in English, and the 7 guild leaders featured in Karlov Manor, Aurelia the Law Above, Latsa Wearer of Faces, Niv Mizzet, Guild Pact, Rakdos, Patron of Chaos, Tesa Opulent Oligarch, and Trostani 3 Whisperers. We'll only be discussing the average variant price of the aforementioned Invisible Ink, Ravnica, and Dossier treatments for the most, the least expensive. But for those who want to dig into the nitty-gritty of these card prices, my usual variant tables for such of the 7 guild leaders will be at the end of the article, and all prices used were gathered from MTG Stock's price database as of February 13th. So we've got the Karlov Manor variant prices. We got Aurelia, the Law Above, Niv Mizzet, the Guild Pack, and Tesa Opulent Oligarch. Invisible Ink, $19. Ravnica City Foil, $9, and Dossier Foil, $6. All right. The most collectible showcase variant from the Markov Manor based solely on price is the Invisible Ink treatment with an average price of $20. Have you seen these cards? I have. They're quite interesting. When you shine them in the light, you can see a little bit of an invisible design on the text box. An important caveat to keep in mind is that the only mythic rarity guild leaders have for this treatment, so only 3 of the 7, which does an impact on the average, as these 3 mythic guild leaders might have higher price tags than the other 4. Even with that caveat, it makes perfect sense that the Invisible Ink treatment is on average the most collectible variant based on price. The Invisible Ink treatment cards can only be found in collector boosters and only appear at a drop rate of 8.4% according to the Collecting Karlov Manacle article published by Wizards of the Coast. So the more enlightening answer to this article's initial question lies from the difference between the averages of the second and third most collectible variants on the price of the foil Ravnica City variant and foil Dossier variant. There's an average difference of $2.38 between these two variants. And while that might not sound like much, it's like a 26% price difference for the cards that are functionally identical by variants that appear at an equal rate in booster packs. And a similar difference can be made and seen with the non-foil counterparts, as the non-foil Ravnica City Showcase variants demand a price tag that is on average 32% higher than the non-foil Dossier Showcase variants. I have not bought a single collector's pack of murders. I mean, I very rarely buy the collector's packs these days, especially for the new sets. I don't think I'm going to buy any for any of the new sets that are out either. There's more older cards that I'm wishing to get my hands on, and like getting a hands on some of these the Invisible Ink cards is not something that I'm too excited to do, but nevertheless the numbers and the spread and the percentages that Max is talking about here is quite significant, like a 30% increase for the Invisible Ink versions. So that's where the money is in the Karlov Manor collector set, and there's a couple of possible explanations for the discrepancy in between the two, but both having to do with an artistic preference. The first being that the serialized guild leader cards for Karlov Manor reuse the Ravnica City Showcase art and border, with the only differences being scarcity. The XXX of 250 stamp on the card and its unique foiling also perhaps might add the sense of the draw towards the foil Ravnica City treatment rather than the Dossier treatment. And the Ravnica City variant is also familiar to players, and it was briefly introduced last year in March of the Machine. And on the other hand, there's been a less than positive reception towards the Dossier Showcase treatment due to legibility, concerns that when it comes to the card's color identity, since the only indicator of the card's color on the primary paper, white or brown Dossier cards, are thin hints of color on the top and the middle of the card. Either way, there is a push or pull. The Ravnica City Showcase treatment is catching more eyes of players, which is reflected in the average price. Am I the only one who's finding it difficult to distinguish some of the colors and some of the versions of these new cards. Hopefully, it was informative and different. Did you like the BGS slab cracking stream yesterday? I'm going to have to check that out. I'm behind a stream or two there over at your place, Ed, but don't rest assured, I will be checking out. So these are these dossier versions, and yes, it is quite difficult to distinguish and discern a color variant or a color denomination to these dossier editions because there's just a little bit of a strip across the top. Maybe the mana symbol is the only thing that's going to tip you off. The cheapest showcase version from Murders of Karlov Manor based solely on the price. Do you notice how people don't use the word murders in their thumbnails, their titles, their articles because nobody wants to get like flagged by search engines for using the word murder in articles? People are calling it Markov's at Markov Manor and things like that. But trying to stay away from the murder word or murder word. Based solely on the price in the non-foil dossier variant, an average price of $2.28 for reference is the cheapest general variant of the Karlov Manor Guild Leader. Cards and their standard non-foil versions are an average of $4.86, which is expected. At the end of the day, the difference isn't that large. Although, due to the aforementioned reasons, the dossier showcase isn't resonating with as many players. If this variant borders any art style to excite you, Tristani, the personal favorite of Max's here, and the dossier treatment, then the fact that they are cheaper on average is welcome plus. So if you don't care about the variant and the art, then the cheapest version for any of these guild pack leaders is going to be the dossier version. Case solved? Well, we've solved the case. So the cheapest value one, the cheapest price ones are going to be the dossier version because they're less popular. But Max wants to thank us for taking a read of this article. If you haven't already, make sure you give the premium a look. We're going to be giving the premium edition a look for the full year here. And I hope you folks have a wonderful day. Due to the incredibly scarce nature of serialized cards, there's not a lot of amount of sales data to enable to draw from. As such, as prices may not be indicative of current values. So since Karlov Manor promo packs and foil packs have not circulated through the market yet at a time of writing this article, as a result, there is not a sizable amount of sales data for many of the promo pack variants. And for some of them, I had to estimate on average base what the sales data was and available prices for listing these promos. So there's a table here brought to you by Max. There's some data here. I'm going to have to take another look at this. But if you hit up Max over on his YouTube channel, I would definitely say thanks. He's the comic book wizard. So give him a hit. I think what do we got here? 23 subscribers, 4 videos. I would hit him up and tell him Brody sent you if you are so inclined. So thanks, Max, for another well-written article. Keep it up in the world. A fellow who started playing in Shadows over Innistrad. Primary focus on formats of EDH and limited on outside of Magic. You can be found writing all sorts of funny stuff from prose to film, such as the story of Jimmy Capolingus and favorite commander deck. Oh, speaking of Capolingus, at the moment is mono black artifacts and aristocrats with Ashnod. The 4th Arrow Lingus. Yes, we need to put some Lingus in the stream. All right, if you are interested in checking out the MTG Stocks Premium, I would definitely, I'll provide you folks a link. There should be a link in the chat. I'll put it in there again. If you do want to get yourself a membership, or you can just join me on the morning show when I share the stream and I feature this new sponsorship from MTG Stocks and bring you guys a little bit of Magic the Gathering fun so we can track the prices of Magic the Gathering together. Oh, you sweet summer child, I saw that coming a mile away. I didn't think they would do that. Google is ridiculous. The way YouTubers have to tiptoe around language today is wild. Yeah, it is. Hey, oh, you sweet summer child. That's all you. Hasbro sucks. It's a good time. I'm gonna add the 4th Aerolingus to my watch list here. Watched cards. Whip it and rip it. Good. 4th.
Premiumbeat.com.
Oh, yeah.
AMB.com.
We're doing it. All right, what a great stream. Richie Dubs, nice to see you here. Hot Dice, Mr. DJ Long, Ed the Dual Brain, Murray Cooper, Mr. Dalton Stark. Friends of the channel, everybody joined us here this morning. I mean, it's been a good one. Cardboard Splendor, Kraken Jank, Cousin Jimmy, the Moxman joining us here this morning. Mr. Benson, Murray Cooper, MTG Gaming Bob, all the folks who tune in to watch. You can join me here on the morning show. If you like tracking the prices of Magic cards, is there enough information? Is it too much information? It's not that hard. You can join me here on the morning show when we go through the stream together on our Magic the Gathering Finance video. Let me help you do that, and you can help me out too by hitting that subscribe button, maybe the notification bell. Oh, what the hell. Let's end it right there. See you, friend. It's Thursday. Have a good day, everybody. We're going to go turn it over to a little bit of Ron Burgundy here this morning, a little bit of Yaz Flute to take us out. And it's about time. Let's switch it up.
AMB.com.
Pops are at the door. I think it's Pinkertons. Coming to get me.